everybody. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom. I don't know why I did that. I'm Tom Fury. This is Zero News. So the bully tax, sorry, the TV license, has got people a little bit worried at the moment, and I wanted to reassure people about this, but I can't actually. But what I can do is at least tell you what I thought I knew and tell you what the truth is. So what I thought I knew was that the BBC are only moving where they're moving to YouTube, or moved now to YouTube, because BBC iPlayer was costing a lot of money with not the right amount of viewers using it, and they also realised that everybody else is just using other platforms now, and B, they need to be centre market, which is, as I said to you, YouTube's now as big as Netflix. And C, they've lost about £500,000 in licenses, so they claim recently, in people not paying them. So £500,000 is not that much. Something they can make up on YouTube. Now, the reason I wasn't convinced they were going to just try and ram a license down your throat over that is because, one, it would be breaking the law. The law only includes streaming on demand from BBC iPlayer. Currently, you can stream on demand from ITV and Netflix and all these other places. It's against the law to give you to try and push a license through for anything else. Even with the BBC on YouTube, you may think, but now they're on YouTube, that gives them a right. No, it doesn't. And there's a reason why they've gone to YouTube. There's a few reasons why they've gone to YouTube. It's not what you think. They've gone there to chase you. They've gone there to stop the expense of paying for the BBC iPlayer, which people aren't using. They've gone there because there's ad money that they don't say they don't do. So they'll be breaking their own rules, be getting ad money, and also any other kind of monetization they put on there. So, and those ads, they will have that ad money on. Let's not kid ourselves. So they'll make up their money there, and that's important. Bear in mind, that's important. After a year, 2 years, they'll make up their money there, and especially with closing the iPlayer site as well, which is costing a bomb, that will make them their £500,000 back, probably a bit more, right? So I just want you to remember that part there, because it will come in just in a minute. So so you understand, they've chased you, as in because they're losing viewers and because they see that the potential on YouTube is much bigger. So they've chased you, and they've done the one thing the BBC never really wanted to do. They're on somebody else's platform, somebody else's rules, and then so the letter of the law really does apply here. And at the moment, there's no lawful way of them charging you for using YouTube unless the law gets changed. So in normal situation, I would say to you, you've got nothing to worry about, because it's exactly as I thought it was. They've chased over it for all this stuff. They've moved for obvious reasons. It's all about reducing money and making money at the same time. All made sense to me, and exactly as what I thought it was. So you should be all right, right? However, you've got a Labour government in that doesn't seem to give a shit about what you think, right? Also, what do most tyrant governments have? A state TV. So normally a party would know that if they tried to induce certain measures, because they would have to change the law in order to give you a TV license for YouTube, yeah? Normally a government wouldn't touch it. They just wouldn't touch it, especially knowing that the BBC are already making up their money. This would be the big con, is the BBC would try and make up they're making up for money. They've just done that. They've already just done that by moving to YouTube and that. So the whole idea of poor BBC with no money has gone already. So all they've got to do is raise their awareness about where they are. They'll make their money, and like I say, not running the iPlayer site. So yeah, it's fiction to think that they're losing after this point, or losing any more normal. So they've always told you can't watch live TV, but you can watch ITV Player, you can watch Netflix. Netflix has live stuff on it, but they always say you can't watch live stuff, and you can't you can't do this, you can't do that. But the truth of it is, the only on-demand service they really had that control over was BBC iPlayer, because it was theirs. And yes, live TV, recording live TV was considered to be part of the license. I don't know how they got away with that, but they did. But that was all that was covered by the law. No other on-demand services. It's literally against the law for them to try and tax you at this moment. However, making one play is never the smart move, is it? They're making multiple plays to try and make more money in an attempt to make it look like they're trying to regain money. They're going to try and get more money because they are considering putting a TV license back on the radio for having a radio, right? This is serious. This is actually what they're actually considering doing. You are going to see license changes probably, I'd say, within the next 3 to 6 months, depending on the political situation. So they're looking to again tax the radio. Let's just call it what it is: tax the radio again. They're also looking to ban it like council tax. They're considering if you've got more money, you pay more for your TV license, that's like, well, if you did that with Sky TV, people would be pretty upset, wouldn't they? Because we all know it's a tax. It's not seen the same way, but it should be, because really you're supposed to be paying for a service. But it does get really sticky around the fact that YouTube provide them adverts, YouTube will provide them revenue. That gets very, very sticky. So at this moment, the only way of getting you to pay for YouTube is to change the law. So we should be pretty safe, except that Starmer's government, I can imagine, would want a state-controlled TV station, especially for the future when we've got no more communications and they blacked us out. Wouldn't you agree? So I'm not convinced. Normally with any government, no matter how twisted, I would think they're not going to touch this. Not with all the heat that's going on at the moment. They've got too many big problems. They're not going to touch this. However, considering it's a Starmer government, this is worth keeping an eye on. And why it's worth keeping an eye on, not just because they're the BBC, but they're eyeing up Netflix. Netflix does live programming now, and I don't know if that's going to be their way in. But Netflix and ITV Player, which again, ITV Player would be against the law. So Netflix on paper. But Netflix does live TV. I don't know if that's the angle they're trying to take, but they are eyeing up Netflix and ITV Player. However, again, just so you understand, they would have to change the law to do that. That would have to be passed through Parliament. So you will know it's coming. There'll be no secret tax creeping through the back door. They will have to let you know. But I know, like I say, they're thinking about reintroducing it for the radio, and that's really just to catch people out because everyone's got a radio, right? And like I say, to raise prices for people who've got more money, which is criminal for a TV service, you know. So what to watch out for is any big political push to save the BBC or anything like that. And again, they don't need saving; they're fine. But if you start seeing that, if you start seeing a lot of political push towards how great they are, anything like that, then you know that what's going to come up in Parliament's probably going to be, you know. But make no bones about it. BBC chased you to YouTube, not like hunters, like beggars, because nobody was watching this site anymore. They're a very expensive site. So they've jumped onto somebody else's platform. That takes a lot of their power away. You're on somebody else's platform now. You don't get to call the shots about the adverts. You're making money. And there's a whole lot of bunch that goes into that. So right now, you're okay. Right, but do expect changes to the TV license. They're going to try and monetize anything they can that's within the law, which isn't that much, but it does include things like radio. It does include making price tiers. They can do all of that because that's within what they're already doing. But at the moment, as it stands right now, Netflix, YouTube, all that is overreach. They can't do it. But watch out for Parliament. Because if they decide to put it in Parliament, if Starmer is really so tone deaf to the point where he just thinks, yeah, state-controlled media, great, everybody writing, don't matter, that's when you need to worry. But for right now, don't worry about it. Just look at, or don't worry about it in terms of YouTube and things like that. Focus more on the license itself and what they'll be doing in the next 3 to 6 months to charge people for things they weren't charging for before, or raising the prices. That's where we need to look now. But this is consistent with what I thought when they first came over. They're chasing money, but you're not the directive. YouTube was the directive, and the people on there. The secondary directive, yeah, may well be to try and get a TV license out there, but that could take them a very, very long time. So they're chasing the people and they're chasing the money. So for the time being, Don't worry about it, but keep your eyes open in terms of the changes that are coming, because there are changes coming. Also, there's changes coming to YouTube as well. That's another thing we need to hope that doesn't happen. YouTube don't do anything with the BBC to help them, but I can't see it. There's nothing in it for YouTube to do that. Literally nothing in it for them. They don't need the BBC. So it should be all right. Okay? And the thing I said to you about the law is absolutely been fact checked and it's true. So my name's Tom Fury. This is Zero News. I hope this helps. I'm calling it a day for now.